Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series qualified from Kentucky Speedway, about to get underway. A gorgeous afternoon it has been, setting up an incredible weekend here in the Bluegrass State. Alongside Jeff Burton, I'm Rick Allen. As we get ready to set the field for tomorrow's race, I think one of the most important things that we saw in practice today, 2 one-hour practices, and cars were out there by themselves almost the whole time, trying not to run near other cars. So did we see true speed when guys went out for mock qualifying runs?
So we did see some mock qualifying runs, but the whole field didn't make qualifying runs. So there's still some questions about how fast everybody is. And, you know, why were people running by themselves? This track is extremely treacherous. It's a very difficult racetrack. 3 and 4 has very little grip. It's going to be fascinating to watch these drivers try to lay a lap time down. And can they run wide open in 3 and 4? Can they make that happen? Some will be able to, maybe, and some will definitely not make it work.
So Dale Jr. on NASCAR America just made the comment that he thinks a Toyota will win the pole. They haven't won a pole this season, so he was curious if that was going to be able to happen. Do you think a Toyota can outduel the Fords and Chevys today?
Well, I do, but I think the biggest thing is this is not a typical mile and a half, okay? This is not a place where you're just going to sit in the car and hold it wide open easily. I think that changes the game. I think the people, remember, this is an impound qualifying, so you can't make adjustments, major adjustments after this. So the people that decided handling was going to matter, in some racetracks that hurt them, because when you run it wide open, it's too much drag. It doesn't let the car go as fast, even though it drives well. Here, that may actually help them. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, we just watch that throttle, man, see who's in the throttle the longest, and that's going to tell the answer.
Who hit the formula right, the proper balance, speed, drag, downforce. All of those things will come into play to find out who's the fastest in the Bluegrass State. That's next. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. And by Best Western. Welcome to today's Best Western. Book now at bestwestern.com. And cars beginning to roll. Let's go down to the Peacock pit box where Steve Letarte, Dale Earnhardt Jr. are hanging out, enjoying the weather.
Rick, this pit box is so popular. Dale Jr. want to come out. Normally we have a driver in qualifying. Dale, you're just on a NASCAR America. Appreciate you hanging out. This is a great seat.
Yeah, I'm excited. These cars are going to be flying down here, down into Turn 1, and we'll get to see what these guys do. They got to make a choice about where they're going to run. Are they going to use the bottom groove in Turn 1 and 2, use the PJ1? Basically, at both ends of the racetrack, we get to see some of these guys try some different lines.
And I'm interested in this 3 just because they're qualifying this year. This 3 car has qualified well. They seem to have a decent package. I'm not sure if it will transfer here. I'm not sure it's a guaranteed wide open here. These guys are going to have to work a little bit harder than I think they have at other racetracks. Burton, you've been up there for practice. What do you think? I'm thinking they're out of the gas in 3 and 4 for sure.
Yeah, you could see Austin Dillon was out of the gas on their telemetry on the left side of the screen. Austin Dillon, he ran a 29.58. Now, that is a lot faster than what he ran in practice. He ran a 29.94, so half a second faster than practice, but I'm not sure he made a Q run, guys, in practice.
Bubba Wallace will be out on the racetrack now. You had mentioned earlier that not everybody went out and did a mock qualifying run today.
Yeah, when I look at the time charts, I'm not sure. A few did, but, you know, the hardest part about this impound is that you have to qualify what you're going to race. So if it's not good in practice, I'm not really sure what you adjust. It's kind of just a standard race setup with tape on the nose and try to tighten it up with air pressure, Dave.
Oh, sorry, we were just talking about kids. Keelan turned 7 this week. My daughter's 14. And their car's on the racetrack. When your car hits the racetrack, what do you expect in qualifying?
You know, our Hunt Brothers Pizza Ford Mustang has driven really well, and the speed's been fine. You know, just typical things that you got to navigate in the race. I think you'll have to navigate again this weekend. Obviously, with the PJ1, it's a little bit different in 3 and 4, running up a lane on the racetrack. Hopefully that gets a little bit wider, and still on the bottom in 1 and 2. So just have to wait and see, I guess. We'll line them all up and run the race and go from there.
Managing the qualifying lap with Kevin Harvick, and parenting too, but that was off camera.
You're always a parent, no matter if there's a camera around or not. BJ McLeod in the 52, he's on the racetrack. And I would call that a shortcut, but not a lot of people do that, Jeff, because of the drain that is right there by the start-finish line.
Yeah, there are some drains down there, but I think if you don't go too low, you're okay. If you just go below the yellow line, you're fine. If you go onto that second tier of banking, you can get yourself in trouble. So you see right below him right now, and that one right there, those are the two drains you want to stay at. Still rough, still very rough, but we have seen some people try to run through those drains with negative results.
It hasn't worked out very well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you'll only run through it once. That's pretty violent.
Is that from experience?
That's from experience. I thought when they repaved this track, they fixed all the bumps. They left the ones below the apron.
Yeah, it's actually rough. It's rough in 1 and 2 as well. When I took the NBC Toyota car around there, you can see where cars are just gouging into the racetrack. And one of those shots during practice, Steve, remember it showed the back of the car just bouncing around really hard. So 1 and 2 is not smooth.
No, anything but, as we see Matt DiBenedetto on his lap currently. I was talking to Ross Chastain at the start of Xfinity qualifying, and that's what he talked about. He said, you know, this place doesn't, I know the pavement isn't very old, but it doesn't race at all like a repave. And Jeff, you mentioned it, that when they repaved it, they didn't take the characteristic out. They left some of the bumps. And Ross jokingly agreed and said, well, job well done, because there are some big bumps around this racetrack that he thinks affects kind of how the cars drive. It really affected how his truck drove.
And you look at some of the, the surface, you can see where they've had to repair some seams. They're already starting to fix the racetrack and as it's aging, which is great. Those little issues create character and challenges for the drivers.
Yeah, remember when they paved this racetrack, guys, they didn't use that normal, really small aggregate. They used a bigger aggregate to make it so it would eat the tires up. That's something that the track didn't really want to do because it's going to require more maintenance and more service, but it made the racing better.
Let's be clear, Jeff, did you ever think you would know that much about asphalt? Because I didn't as a crew chief, but it's important.
Hey, you guys, did you notice that Matt DiBenedetto tried to make it easier for you guys as far as what to call him on the top of his door? You see what he put?
I did see that.
His middle name.
Yes.
He put his middle name on there, which is a family name that's been passed down from grandfather to father to him. Guido is on the top of the door for Matt DiBenedetto. He said that's probably easier for you guys to call me Guido.
So, Junior, that's because you and I pronounce it.
Why are you throwing me under the bus?
I just went to Matty D. I like Matty D.
Matty D.
I like how Jeff just lumps us all together. We're all mad at this.
Roll the tape.
Oh.
Don't roll the tape. Do not roll the tape.
Oh, man.
In Ross Chastain, we saw him take his lap. He's fourth quickest at a 30.421. Won the Xfinity Series race last week at Daytona. A huge accomplishment for that organization, Colleague Racing, who he was driving for last week. As we see Landon Castle now on the clock.
Landon, he was also in the same situation Kurt Busch was in last week. We talked about Kurt Busch pulling off the racetrack with 1 lap to go to come in to get fuel and tires and giving up the win with Justin Haley. This guy following him down pit road, you know that he's thought about that all week long, that opportunity slipping away.
Yeah, he's going to be excited to be back to the racetrack, get back on the race car. I've always found that was the best way to kind of get over a bad run or a bad situation, is just get back to the track and try again. Currently 5th quick out of 7 cars. It's interesting. I struggle to know who's going to be good and what a good lap is. Jeff, as you mentioned, not a lot of guys make single car runs, and if they do, some are in the first practice, some are in the second practice. It's not as straightforward as it usually is when everybody practices and qualifies on a Friday alone.
Yeah, it is kind of information. We just don't have enough of it. No, by the way, neither do the teams. A lot of these teams, they're going out there not really understanding what they're going to have. See Matt Tifft making his lap. Entered turn 3, only a couple tenths behind Austin Dillon. It's pretty close. Didn't get through 3 and 4 quite as well as we probably wanted to. Tifft finished 9th last week. Still, you look at Matt Tifft, only just a tenth of a second slower than Bubba Wallace. I think that's a pretty good run for those guys.
Next up on the clock, looking at the 51 of Bailey Curry. Bailey Curry making, this will be his 9th start of the 2019 season. Never has he started in the Cup Series here at Kentucky, though. Bailey Curry, a little over a half a second off of what Austin Dillon has posted as the fastest time, 29.58. In practice earlier, you guys were talking about the laps that were turned. 29.38 was the fastest lap turned by anyone in practice. That was Kurt Busch, so we'll see if he can back that up. There's brother Kyle Busch heading toward his car. So many fans have done it, and it's definitely catching on. Experience racing action and exciting infield entertainment while building a community with fans from all walks of life. No matter if you're camping for the weekend or partying all weekend long, which we've seen people do, there's great camping opportunities at all NASCAR tracks. Visit NASCAR.com/camping. Motor Mouths on Wednesday. Yeah, you guessed it. Kyle Busch will be a part of the Motor Mouths show. You can call in and ask questions, and Rut and KP and Kyle will talk you through that show. That's going to be, that's must-watch TV.
I think he was listening to you. You see him shaking his head like, why did I agree to do that?
I want to know if I get a direct call-in line, because I got some questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Kyle and Kyle together. KP, Kyle Busch.
Ryan Priest just ran a 30 flat.
Austin Dillon still has the fastest lap at 29.58. Let's go to Dave.
We'll check in with William Byron. During Xfinity qualifying, the late qualifiers, we're really watching the lines of the early ones. I haven't seen you watching everything that everybody's doing. Are you pretty well set on where you're going to put your car in the sticky stuff and all that?
I'm not totally sure yet. I feel like we're probably going to run up in the PJ1. I was a little confused before qualifying what I was going to do because I looked at SMT and I was like, man, some guys ran the bottom. So we'll see, but I think we got a couple good cars before us to go. So try to judge off them and hopefully get a good lap in and see where we can qualify.
Drivers always downloading a little more data, guys.
So you heard him reference SMT, and that is a tremendous amount of data, Steve and Junior, that the drivers can now look at and compare themselves and their driver styles to other drivers. It's really changed the game and how you prepare to qualify.
Yeah, Jeff, it's so much. Dale, you and I were like, on pit road, these generators, they're like turning into small apartments.
We got to talk about this. Look at the pit road, all these antennas on pit road. It's crazy.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, they're now have antennas on the boxes, the generators, so that they can gather that information. And
so when you say gather, so Denny Hamlin, that's the FedEx number 11 box right there. Denny Hamlin is going to look at exactly what Austin Dillon did: steering wheel, brake, gas. How he drove the race car, he gets to see that before he goes to qualify.
Immediately, and it's extremely helpful. I mean, years ago, drivers didn't know throttle traces, steering inputs of other drivers, and when this was all coming about, a lot of drivers didn't like it, didn't want people to know how they drove the race cars, because not everybody drives the same way. Some guys do the throttle, the brake, steering, and all differently to accomplish the same goal.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a crew chief, I don't want you looking at my notebook.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're doing right here. Look at Daniel Hemrick. We talked about the 3 and his qualifying record this year. Very impressive. Well, his teammate, Daniel Hemrick here, tracking. Oh, boy.
There he goes. Got a good exit off turn 4.
RCR has done well in qualifying, and once again, the 2 RCR cars are quick. 29.52 for Hemrick, 29.58 for Austin Dillon. Reunited, and it feels so good. But I don't think they're actually.
This show is going off.
they're not back together as crew chief and driver, but I'm sure just chatting about things in life. Michael McDowell now on the clock in the 34.
What a lap Mike McDowell has going.
Yeah, if you look at the history of the RCR cars and how well they've qualified, and you think that that's going to stand up today. Loses a little bit of time there, but still not a terrible lap for this team. And look back and see what he might have wanted to do different and talk to the team, but he had a really good lap going. And Austin and Hemrick, you know, we worry about them qualifying well. Does that mean that their cars don't have the downforce they're going to need in the race? They actually ran really good in that first and second stage at Chicago at 1.5 miles. I know it's a different track, bumpy, not as smooth, but they still got to have confidence that they're getting closer to developing the race package with the success of the qualifying package ahead.
Well, it's interesting to see if teammates qualify near each other like they do at the super speedways. I know we're not on super speedway. We see Priest down there in 8th with a 47, and the 37 of Chris Buescher, his teammate. Looks like he's trending a little better, maybe.
Good looking race car.
He touched the brake just a little bit. You saw on the data down there on the left side of the screen. You also saw the brake light up just a little bit getting into turn 3.
That's no good. You don't want to be on the brakes.
Yeah, this package, you want to roll as hard, as free as you can. You don't want any brake pedal if you can avoid it.
So I won't lie. This one here has been a little furious. RCR cars first and second, why this is not an RCR car. They get a lot of RCR help. No surprise, Ty Dillon, another grandson of Richard Childress in this car. We'll see. This is kind of what it's been looking like most of the year, just a little off perhaps the two in-house cars.
Lost quite a bit of speed as he entered that first turn, and now trending the wrong direction for Ty Dillon.
They just didn't point and turn into the middle of the corner as well as Hendrick and Dillon did.
And so Ty Dillon is 7th quickest at a 29.98.
So here comes Keselowski onto the track.
What can we expect out of Brad?
And I tell you, this team, although they ran really, really well on mile and a half, they didn't qualify so well on the mile and a half. And Joey popped up a few weeks ago and had that good qualifying run. I wonder if that information is passed through the Penske field to try to get a little better qualifying effort.
You know what I just realized is I see Keselowski tracking in the green.
And I losing a little bit here.
Didn't put any picks in my fantasy.
I didn't either. This is really a good test for RCR and all of us to understand really what a great lap is.
Yeah, that was he rolled the middle really quickly.
The tougher end of the track, 3 and 4, is where he made up the majority of his time, and this is going to be an impressive lap, 29.43.
Check this out, guys. He hung a right to get onto the racetrack as quickly as he could, to make the racetrack as long as he could make it, build that speed. Remember, this is 550 horsepower. To make the track as long as you can before you get to that green flag. That's using all the tools available to you.
A little over a 1/10.5 faster for Brad Keselowski, and right now he's the fastest. When I say faster, 1/10.5 faster than what he ran in practice earlier today. Now on the gas, the guy who has won the last 2 races here, Martin Truex Jr., and trending in the red still. And it looks as though Martin Truex Jr. will slot into 3rd.
You see his head? Did you see his head turn to the left? You see that? He's looking for that scoring pile.
Already.
That's what he's looking for. Where did that end up?
Where am I? Well, look who's coming up to visit the boys. Kurt Busch will be on the Peacock Pit Box when we come back. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying from Kentucky Speedway. Oh, it looks like a little beer pong game might be taking place here. Pretty nice board there that the guys have traveled to this racetrack. And let's go to the Peacock Pit Box.
That game was branded the right way for our next guest. Kurt Busch joins us. Kurt, thanks for coming by. Great view down here at Pit Stall 1.
It is nice down here. I need to try to qualify better so I can have the same view.
Yeah. So we've been talking all really day long about how difficult this racetrack is, the sticky stuff. There's so many different conversations. Just talk about you, your one car. You set the fastest lap in practice. How's the day been?
That was a full mock-up run. We've been struggling on the first part of the year for qualifying, and so we've been wanting to make sure we get our ride height set and our balance set in a practice sequence, but sometimes it takes away a set of stickers. Here at Kentucky, you're not worried about it. The tires are so hard that you want to run more refires on a set of tires, and then those have more heat in them, then they'll have more grip for the PJ1. So I think we did pretty good to balance our car out. It looks like Brad posted a really good lap time. We predicted low 40s. That's right where it is, and now I just got to go do my job with the Monster Energy Chevy and nail a lap.
Hey guys, I watched in practice today, and I figured that you definitely have to get off the throttle getting into turn 3, but I saw a lot of guys actually kind of cracking the half throttle in turn 1 and 2. Are you surprised at being off throttle so much at this racetrack with this package?
Yeah, I thought we would be more throttle on time and things would be simpler, but you're right on that edge of each corner. Turns 1 and 2 is much quicker and more banking, and so it loads the car different. And then in 3 and 4, that's always been the tough end of the track. And then we haven't been out there at night yet. Nighttime is going to provide more grip, and it's going to provide different things that the car will feel. And then these tires, they just go through more mood swings. Like lap 10 is a different feel than lap 20, and then lap 30. And you're right on that edge. This one has definitely been tougher than most mile and a halves.
Joey Logano's on the track right now, a little over 10th off on the back stretch. We were talking a minute ago, we talked about the SMT data. Dale and I explained to the fans how you kind of have instant access to what the driver inputs are. So a veteran, so much experience. How much do you lean on that? Is it during practice? How about even here before qualifying? Do you look at that information?
Yeah, it's one of those necessary evils where it's all there and you have to look at it, you have to digest it and use it to apply a better lap time or a better process. It's kind of a shame. As an old school guy, and I always like my info to be mine. And then it's like you hear my little brother, he was telling me something to driver intros the other day, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's that SMT stuff.
Yeah.
So, with that said, you know, is there things that you've seen out of drivers and their styles, things they do with the steering and brake that really threw you for a loop or surprised you?
What it did is, like, I would pull up Dale Jr. at certain tracks. I'm going to pull up Denny at certain tracks. I'm going to pull up my little brother. You know, last year Kyle Larson led almost every lap at the Southern 500. Why? Let's check it out. Let's really get into detail and look at things. And that's where it takes a team. You know, the driver's not going to be able to dissect it all himself. So you get with engineers, you get with crew chief and the strategy and why they did what they did. And if there's something there to look for information, you got to use it.
As you mentioned, your little brother, he jumps in there in 7th. So, hey, listen, cool initiative. NBC partnered with NASCAR, and a lot of competitors are on this. The My Track, My Roots hashtag about going back grassroots racing from the beginning. You and I have had these conversations about starting out in Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on that? What are some of your favorite local short tracks?
It's always great to show love and to get the focus on how we all started, but also how there's great entertainment right there Saturday night or Friday night in your local region. And so with me and Kyle, you know, with Noah Craxton, all of us in Vegas, Brendan Gong, that bull ring, that little 3/8 mile, that was the show, man. That was like the coolest place for all of us to run. And then when we traveled a little bit, like Harvick's from Bakersfield, Jimmy Johnson's from El Cajon. We went down to Lake Havasu a little bit and then over to Tucson, where Bowman's from. So I can't wait for all the stories to pop up and create more interest around all the short tracks across America.
Well, here's your teammate right here, 42 of Kyle Larson. We're going to let you go right after his lap.
Hammer down, buddy.
Next, but
wide open, should be wide open through here. Looks like he's tracking a little bit off of the top guys. And then the speed and lap time is going to come from what happens here in 3 and 4. I'm watching intently. I know what he's got in there. 0.13 behind.
Oh, big moment.
Wow. 1.4. Oh, yeah. Didn't quite stick like you need. He needed more stickums.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Kurt, we appreciate you coming here. I want to let you know, so on a personal standpoint, last week, I know everybody wants to be up front. But hey, listen, how you were on the radio supporting your team like that, that's A+. I used to have to make those decisions. I know how much Matt McCall appreciates that. I think as a team, you guys handled it great, and I'm confident that you guys will bounce back. Victory lane at some point this summer.
We just need to be in position more often. That's it. We win as a team, we lose as a team. If it's one to go, we got to come and get gas, and so be it. That's the way it went.
Well, we know you got to get going.
All right, boys.
Get
Thanks.
qualified. Thanks for coming up here and talking to us a little bit.
Good stuff. Thank you. See Alex Bowman, the Chicago winner on the racetrack, Rick.
Bowman, can he keep that momentum going from the other mile and a half, the most recent mile-and-a-half racetrack Cup Series has been on? And it's not going to start on pole. 0.4 of a second off of what Keselowski has run. We both caught our breath when we watched William Byron.
Yeah, he was almost overstepped the bounds big time. See right here, he's just trying to use all of the racetrack and just got right there out of the groove. Look at all the stuff flying behind it, and fortunately he's able to keep it out of the wall. Still ninth right now, so didn't destroy the lap.
His teammate Jimmy Johnson now on the clock.
I was excited to get here this weekend to see if the performance from Chicago would lend itself to good results this weekend. In practice, those guys didn't seem too thrilled with their cars, at least talking to Bowman and a few of those guys.
Looking at the lap tracker, the average lap time, I thought they'd be a little better as well. It didn't quite carry over completely. Jimmy right here is going to qualify just inside the top 10. How about this crazy fact? Jimmy Johnson, back-to-back top 5s. The first time since 2017.
Yeah.
Like, that blows my mind. Like, I know it's been a down year, but this is a guy that had back-to-back wins. I know, by the way, the last time he was back-to-back top 5s was back-to-back wins.
Where's Chase Elliott going to fit now in the Hendrick Motorsports hierarchy here? William Byron is 9th, Jimmy Johnson 10th.
You see the over 10th and a half down and back straightaway, but did you see his hands? The car did everything he asked it to do. Right there it didn't. He had a lot of work, but in 1 and 2, he lost more time in 1 and 2 with no correction whatsoever. His hands never moved, wide open to the throttle. And that's, from a driver's standpoint, Junior, that's, what do you say? Hey, 1 and 2 was great. And you were 10th and a half off down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about the rules this year for qualifying we're seeing guys that are really comfortable. This is an impound. These cars have to sort of, they're going to be ready to race. So these guys are going to have a lot of downforce, a lot of comfort built into their cars. That will cost them a lot of speed in single flat qualifying. But if you're Chase Elliott, you're hoping that's what's going on.
And that's what your crew chief's going to tell you.
That's right. and looking at his hands, looking at the steering and the movement of the wheel, there wasn't a lot there. So you think, hey, you're comfortable? This car hopefully races really well in traffic.
Byron is 9th, 10th for Johnson. Elliott was 13th and 14th for Bowman.
All right, Junior, we got to get out of here. They got to get the pit box ready for the pre-race show. I got to head upstairs to the booth for the Xfinity race. I hear you're going to hang out here for the Xfinity race?
Yeah, I'll be here for the whole Xfinity race. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great race tonight.
All right, more qualifying after the break.
Coming up next, it'll be Xfinity Series Countdown to Green. Then racing from Kentucky at 7:30. And at 10 o'clock, the ACC Golf Championship. A lot of fun being had out there for that event. We'll get you right to that at 10 o'clock. We have more qualifying right here in Kentucky. The final cars taking their laps. Now it's Ryan Newman's turn on the clock. He's
3 top 10s in the last 4 races, so on a positive run right now.
'15th for Newman. Eric Jones will be next on the clock. Right now, the fastest Toyota is Martin Truex Jr. He is currently 5th. Kyle Busch is 7th. Eric Jones' 2 teammates.
Pressure starting to build with this team. Every time I look, they're just right behind the playoff cutoff. They just can't seem to jump up in there. They don't fall any further back, but they're not moving further forward either.
Four top 5s for Eric Jones this season, as we see him slotted in 14th. So right now, the slowest of the 3 Joe Gibbs Racing cars that have gone. Of Eric Almirola on the clock.
Came to the line really well.
Looking good entering one. Pretty good lap here, Jeff. He stays in the green going down the backstretch.
This is the money lap, right? Money corner right here.
What line will he choose?
See,
stays up.
Yeah, it was off the throttle just a little bit. Never touched the brake. Good lap. Going to be able to stay in the throttle corner exit.
And there's the fastest lap. Eric Almirola goes to the top. So now it's 3 Fords that are up top. Almirola, Kozlowski, and Harvick. And another driver of the Ford just standing by with Dave.
Yep, let's check in with Joey. 3 Fords at the top. Joey, how was yours in qualifying?
Not very fast. Apparently, not fast enough, but hopefully she races well. It seems like when you go watch qualifying right now, it's kind of the tell-all of what direction teams have gone, or they want to be good in a race or in qualifying. And sometimes you have those special weekends where those cars have both, but we're hoping our car races well. I think it will. We worked hard on this Shell Penzo Mustang, and it seemed like we got it handling well, so that's a big piece. And you'll have to kind of wait and see how this race plays out.
So wait a minute. So your car isn't far enough down to have worked only on handling. It's not far enough up to work only on speed. So it's in the sweet spot.
Somewhere there's a compromise, and I hope we've nailed that part of it. Sometimes you just don't know, right? And we have no idea when we show up to these racetracks with this new rules package, and then you put this traction compound down, and we don't know until we get here. And really, you don't know until the race itself. We can talk about practice all we want, but the sun's going to go down, and does the traction compound wear off? It's just all these questions we don't have answers to until we race.
And that's the entertaining part, right, guys?
Definitely entertaining. I think another entertaining part is we were just talking to Kurt Busch. He was just on the Peacock pit box and now strapped into the one, and he is clicking off his lap.
Yeah, he talked about they had really struggled qualifying, and they have not qualified well at all. This ain't going to be the pole, but I think Kurt's going to be happy with this lap. Much better result than what they've seen in the past.
3rd for Kurt Busch. 29:45. I'm guessing he'll try to get a reservation on the Peacock pit box every week now. after that performance?
Hey, man, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. And when you look at teammate Kyle Larson, he's down in 15th. Kyle Larson ran a 29.77. Kurt Busch a 29.45. Now it's Ryan Blaney's turn on the track. We saw Brad Keselowski turn a lap at 29.43. Always try to compare it to teammates, even though obviously it's different, but similar equipment.
Blaney ran so well here last year. Finished second, had a real shot to win the race, had a really good speed. Just Truex was so good that night. But Blaney ran well. Only qualified 13th here, but again, something we've seen from these Penske teams. You know, they typically have not qualified that great. Keselowski's second right now, but in general, they've not been very good on the mile-and-a-half in qualifying. Been very good at race trim.
A Ford will win the pole today because that's all that's left. Stenhouse Jr., Paul Menard, and Daniel Suarez are the final three that will take the time. So Eric Almirola right now is the time to beat at 29.38.
I envisioned Doug Yates high-fiving everyone when you said that. Engine department.
Yes. The horsepower given to these Mustangs. And right now tracking a little over 0.2 of a second off the pole is Eric Almirola. Or excuse me, Stenhouse from behind Eric Almirola.
Oh, and Eric's nervous. You want the pole so bad. 2 more cars to go.
He's going to put the sunglasses on. He's going to walk back. Actually, he's saying to our camera person, he said, watch out for the car. There was a car coming through in the tech area, I'm sure.
Paul Menard in the Wood Brothers car.
He's also in the red.
Strong affiliation with Penske, obviously. Looks like he's going to qualify right around several of the Penske cars.
Lost quite a bit of speed through 3 and 4. And he'll be 13th. Final car on the track is Daniel Suarez. Almirola talking it over. Where the lap was good. Does Suarez have anything for the pole?
Came to the line really well. That means he went through 3 and 4 with good speed. Remember, this is a teammate of Almirola.
Does he maintain it through 1 and 2? He does.
Really good 1 and 2. Now the hard spot. Can he do that throttle and brake?
Only 1 pole for Daniel Suarez in his career. Can he make it 2 today?
Oh, will it stick on exit? Oh, he's going to do it by a 10.
What a run by Suarez. Daniel Suarez with his second career pole.
Good job. Wow. Thank you,
That was big.
There you go, boys.
He was fully committed, man. He went to that throttle. He went hard to the throttle in 3 and 4, used all of the racetrack. I was afraid he had overcommitted, but it stuck.
Now, Daniel Suarez was also on the Peacock pit box earlier. So I'm guessing there's some type of a correlation between a fast lap in qualifying and being on the Peacock pit box.
But he was with Kyle and Krista, right?
Yeah. Does that, it's, you're not with Steve?
Tart and Junior. So. I say that as the Tart's throwing things at me.
Congratulations to Daniel Suarez.
What a great lap. I mean, really, that was so fun to watch. He was fully committed through 1 and 2, as most people were, but his drive in 3 and 4, man, it was so cool. He used all of the racetrack. He was either going to have a great lap or a terrible lap. Whoa, watch out.
Folks not paying attention. And again, because it's an impound race, these cars will all be taken back into the garage. They'll be parked and not touched until they go through tech inspection, which will take place tomorrow. So that's why you see this car rolling all the way back into the garage area here at Kentucky. But as you mentioned, a great lap for Daniel Suarez.
Suarez showed good speed in race trim, too. Suarez in race trim, you kept talking about it during practice. He was in the top 5 in average speeds. He looked really, really good in race trim as well.
Could we have another first-time winner in the Cup Series? NTT IndyCar Series will be on NBCSN on Sunday as they run the Toronto Street Course at Exhibition Place. practices today. Simon Pagenaud was fastest, said, "I love this track." And the battle for the championship will continue north of the border. How about Robert Wickens? He will be in a car, a pace car in front of the field this weekend. Again, Robert Wickens injured in a vicious accident in Pocono. And after a spinal injury, he's been working diligently to get back to walking, get back to being in a race car. Well, with the help of Aero, hand controls, he's going to be pacing the field in Toronto this weekend. What an unbelievably inspirational story.
It's just amazing the amount of work he's put in. And kudos to everybody for putting that together, to give him the opportunity to get in that car and lead the field. That's good stuff, man.
And Brad Keselowski, who will start third after his qualifying run, was Dave minutes ago.
3 Fords up front. Brad Keselowski's is one of them. Are you pleased with that run?
Yeah, not bad. I think that's our best qualifying effort on a mile and a half this year, Dave. So something to be proud of there. Didn't quite have the speed to get to the pole. I like to have a later draw. I think there might have been a little bit of speed there, but I don't know if I could have got, it's like Daniel was a 10th and a half. I might have been able to get a half a tenth or 10th, but all in all, a decent run for our Discount Tire Ford Mustang, and happy for Doug Yates and all the Ford guys to have all 3 of our cars up front with the Fords, but we'll see what we have come tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good morale booster for the whole Ford camp, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, we've had a lot of strength, and Ford's done an excellent job with this Mustang, and it's really paying off.
Thanks, Brad. Brad will start third tomorrow night.
Thanks, Dave.
Number 3 starting position. He's within striking distance, obviously, and with wins already, Brad Keselowski can be fighting for those playoff points, maybe a stage win, a couple stage wins, and then, of course, trying to get back to victory lane.
And remember, Brad's won here 3 times, so you'll consider Brad a contender. Dave.
With Daniel Suarez now, who laid down that good lap, Brad Keselowski thought maybe if he'd had a little later draw, that would have helped him. Did that help you some?
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe a little bit, but the car has been very fast the entire day, so I feel that we had probably the fastest car in last practice, and had the fastest car in qualifying again. So I'm very proud of my guys, full performance, Suarez Racing, Haas Automation, everyone that makes this program possible, because we've been working very hard, and it's showing up at the racetrack.
Daniel, a lot of drivers have clauses in their contracts not to do extreme sports. Where does fence jumping go into that? Because you just came through here instead of walking all the way around.
Well, if that's in my contract, I didn't read it, so nobody let me know about that one. But and I just came from that way. The opening is all the way there. Look, there's Lauren, my PR girl, running for her life. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. We'll talk to the track. We'll get that gate open next time. What does this mean for you starting up front here tomorrow night at what is a very tricky track and a lot of guys around you who you want to win?
You know, I really want to win so bad. I haven't been in victory lane for a while. The last time I was in victory lane was in Brazil, and it was in a go-kart race. So I've been looking forward to get a trophy home for a while, and we have very fast cars. Now it's up to me to make it happen tomorrow night.
Daniel Suarez starts first. Rick?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if he was as excited about the fact that he had won the pole, or that he got to see Dave as quickly as he did, because he jumped over a fence to get there.
And congratulations to Laura that made it, right? Like, we need to give her an award, because she ran the whole way.
She had to run to make it here to where all of the photos are going to take place after claiming the pole for tomorrow night's race under the lights for Daniel Suarez. I mentioned hasn't found victory lane, but during practice showed speed in the long runs, and now we've seen 1 lap of speed as well.
Well, he mentioned how much he wanted to win. Well, we saw that in qualifying. We saw his commitment through 1 and 2. Most people run wide open, but in 3 and 4, he drives in there. We saw him come off the throttle a little bit. He's back in the throttle quick. Used every bit of the racetrack on corner exit. Look at that. He's out of that black. He just wasn't going to lift. He was either going to hit something or come home with a great lap. And you know, if you're going to sit on the pole, that's sometimes what it takes. And congratulations to him and his team. Great job. And listen, they didn't just sit on the pole by a little bit. You know, well over a 1/10 of a second. You know, it's hard to beat this group of drivers and teams by a 1/10 of a second.
The one thing that's got to be fun now for Daniel Suarez is this is really the first time that he's able to celebrate winning the pole, because I'd mentioned it's his second pole, but the first pole that he had was because of 2 cars disqualified ahead of him at Pocono. So he didn't actually know that he had won the pole after that day. Today, obviously, he knows because he's the fastest here at the racetrack. And all smiles for Daniel Suarez. And again, Suarez in the playoff standings. Daniel Suarez right now 17th. So he is on the outside looking in, 3 points back. Wants to have more consistent runs and obviously fight for those wins, which automatically get you into the playoffs.
Yeah, the points matter, right? And so now, you know, he said earlier when he was with Kyle and Krista, this was the best cup car he'd ever driven. He made that comment, and then you start thinking about where he is in points, all right? Start thinking about stage points. He sat on the pole. He has track position. He has really good track position over Eric Jones. He has really good track position over Ryan Newman, over Clint Boyer. Can he capitalize on that? Can he get some points, you know, in that first stage, second stage, and ultimately, as you said, get that win? So, listen, man, qualifying matters. Track position matters, and let's see if Daniel and his team can capitalize on it.
Big day for Daniel Suarez winning the pole. But obviously a big day for the Xfinity Series, as that race will be taking place this evening. So you see Shane Lee's car getting put into place on the grid here. They're getting ready for that race. What can we expect in this race? This is a tough racetrack. We've heard over and over and over how difficult it is, especially in turn 3. Can you go too wide in there into that turn?
They're going to try. I mean, you're going to have to, man. Like we see these restarts, how wild they are, right? And you have this big apron on the bottom of the racetrack. You're going to see drivers, you know, get in the apron. We saw Rex last night in the truck race because getting 3 wide, getting into turn 1. But you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to push the issue. And remember, these cars, the Xfinity cars, have less downforce than of all the 3 top touring series. They are the cars that move around the most. They're the cars that have the least amount of grip. So, listen, it's going to be a fun race, and this kind of racetrack with the sticky stuff up in the second lane in 3 and 4, and in the Cup practice, we saw it starting to work in 1 and 2, and I think that they'll be able to use that, and of course that'll just add to the race.
So you have Cole Custer, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick. We call them the Big 3. They've all won multiple races this year. They've really been dominating, I guess, collecting all of the playoff points. Can they be beat? They're the only ones also who have won on 1.5-mile racetracks this year.
So, yes, they can be beaten, but somebody's got to step up. Like somebody, you know, they're all tired of listening to it, right? You know, if you're Justin Allgaier, you're sick of hearing it. Man, you're the guy. You're the guy. You know, been in this series for a long time. Austin Cindric's out on the pole tonight. So, Austin Cindric has a shot. Noah Gragson, starting to see him come on. He's been very consistent as of late. Justin Haley, tremendous amount of momentum after winning Daytona last week. So, yeah, they can be beaten, but you're going to have to bring your A game if you're going to do it.
John Hunter Nemechek, I'm going to call him my dark horse. He has a 7th place finish at this racetrack before. Right now you see him 8th in the standings. I think he's a guy that we could see speed out of him. And the strategy comes into play here as well, getting the guys out front off of pit road.
Yeah, it does. And a lot of young guys in this series, a lot of young, hungry guys that, given the opportunity, they're going to do whatever it takes to try to get this win.
We're looking forward to that. That's Xfinity Series Racing, which is coming up here this afternoon and evening. Veteran David Starr there with a smile on his face. Everybody's got a smile on their face because it's great weather and we know we're going racing.